Okay. This episode is gonna be wild. The dating revolution. What is this dating revolution? Well, for those of you that haven't watched the dating video that I did with Cadell last, I suggest that you guys watch it because we did a lot of interesting moves there. And something that Cadell said, and when we were talking, where he expressed that actually we should be more radically honest with each other on first dates instead of doing this pretend game, right? Just radical honesty. Say exactly what you need and what you want. And of course, this will cause either someone will accept you or somebody will deny you. And I thought that this was a pivotal idea or a very important idea because the more work that I've been doing on Deleuze and Guattari is that they have this idea of schizoanalysis, the way desire flows, and how the schizophrenic is this point of departure of the realm of extremes. And I think, in my opinion, Cadell's notion of this radical honesty on first dates is exactly what I think Deleuze and Guattari would advocate for, because this type of radical extreme, this kind of radical honesty, what would happen if everybody did this? It would be like everybody radically doing a high risk investment and crashing the system. And if everybody was radically honest from the get-go on first dates, say what you need, say what you desire, express how you are and the conception of who you think you are, this kind of radicality would crash the dating infrastructure. It would cause a breakdown. And when there's a breakdown in the dating infrastructure, that means now there is a breakthrough. There is possibilities, new possibilities. I'm not saying that this is the solution, but I am saying that this is the process for the solutions, for the possible solutions, the pregnancy of solutions. But we can't just have one person being radically honest. We need tons of people to be radically honest. And I think if we were to sort of look at the libidinal economy, meaning just to kind of simplify this, how our libido functions like the social productions of capitalism, okay? And how we've been behaving and treating each other. This idea, and actually me and Cadell talked about this idea of that if you're married, you're no longer venturous. Actually, we sorted out that contradiction, where to be married is actually to be more venturous. And I've been working through this idea a little bit more to make it more distinguished about how this may be true. Is, for example, how people behave with stocks, right? If you pick a low risk stock, a low risk anything, what do they tell you? They tell you if you do low risk, you're going to get low returns, little interest. And the dating world unconsciously functions just like that. For example, a man dating, jumping from woman to woman, having many sexual affairs. Now, this may be high risk for sexual diseases, sure, but it isn't high risk for his emotional investment. But see, this is what happens. The low risk investment, the low risk emotional investment, what happens is he gets low emotional return. And what does this environment create? Well, it creates an environment of depression, of anxiety, of suicide, of complete alienation. I mean, Marx wasn't wrong, in my opinion, when he talked about alienation. Okay, the way capitalism behaves, the way it functions, it is alienating, and the way we behave as towards each other, with this idea of low risk, little return, is that it results in alienation. The funny thing is, this is the unconscious that we're talking about here. This is the more libidinal exchanges, right? Because a man consciously believes, or this could be a woman, I'm not picking here, either a man or woman, if they do these adventurous behavior, right? Sleeping with many people and so on, and not wanting to engage in the emotional investment, and they feel like actually this is better for them. This is more enlivening. Actually, the unconscious libidinal exchange is this. It's the little exchanges, little investment. Because consciously they feel like they are investing in themselves, and that this is the highest investment that you could do. I'm not going to get hurt. I am focusing on myself. I'm being greedy. I'm being selfish. No one deserves my kind of investment. If we go back to the unconscious libidinal exchange, what happens is that you've actually invested very little in anybody. And as a result, you get little return. And again, this little return is that you go through a series of affects: anxiety, frustration. I want to bring even Nietzsche in here. Nietzsche's man of ressentiment, right? I'm not French, so Nietzsche's man of resentment, right? You become a man of resentment, a man that secretly foams at the mouth with his frustrations. And I think this is very tantamount to how interest functions, even in and even in our capitalist idea, right? The moment I invest in some kind of thing, I am collecting interest. But the libidinal version is the reverse. I'm getting less interest. People are less interested in me. And this accumulates. This accumulates into resentment, into Nietzsche's man of resentment, where now you engage in the unconscious acts of little risk for little return. Now, what I like about Deleuze and Guattari is that they say that we need to be schizophrenic. Now, what does that mean? It means that we have to be as extreme as possible. Why? Because being extreme as possible means that you are pushing the limits of the structure. And that's what they feel like a schizophrenic does, is constantly trying to escape the binaries. You are pushing the limits of the binaries. But in the dating world, there's nothing like that. It's always this concern about, is this person good for me? Is this person bad for me? And so on. But what we need to happen is, like Cadell's idea, is we need a radical extreme. An example that he gave was being honest at first dates. Saying what you need, saying what you desire, saying what you lack. I think using Deleuze and Guattari's model to basically crash the system by using extremes and by studying how extremes function, what we can do is by enacting this type of extreme, not only will we push the limits of the structure, but it will most likely break down. And once it breaks down, the possibilities open up. That's what it would mean for a dating revolution. That the solutions, the possibilities, they're all pregnant. But first, before we realize the pregnancy of possibilities, the work needs to be done. And me and Cadell talked about this. The work needs to be done. The labor, the pushing. We cannot do a sort of halfway job. We have to conceive all the way through. And this is the revolution. This is the extreme. This is the labor. This is the, Marx ideal proletariat going against the bourgeoisie. Except this is what I would say. In the dating world, the bourgeoisie is the structure, right? The bourgeoisie is in all of us because we participate in the structure. But the real proletariats no longer want to participate in the structure. They've now discerned themselves, and it's time for revolution. It's inevitable, as Marx would say. So I'm pretty sure people felt that he was wrong, but I think I think Zizek said something along the lines like, actually, Marx didn't know how right he was, except he didn't see the path of right that it was going to take. It went a little bit more than just the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. But mainly this is to express the radicality, right? I don't think what I'm proposing, like I said, I don't think what I'm proposing is a solution like Deleuze and Guattari propose. I don't think these are solutions, but when you push the limit of a structure, when you do an extreme move, and the example I keep using is Cadell's, radical honesty at first dates, is that, can you imagine if everybody did that? The collective action of doing that would cause a breakdown. And this breakdown would allow for possibilities to emerge. Because not only does this revolutionize our desire, this would revolutionize our values. What we think we should value. Because now we've broken down the structure. And then just to tie in, another option, because this is something that occurred when I was talking to Michelle, when she was talking about the monetization and her idea of the token, the value of the token. The way I interpreted her value of the token is sort of like these images, right? The token value. The token value, you could say, is the advertisement, right? When you go to Burger King, before you actually see the product, you see the menu, and there's a picture of the burger that you're about to purchase, and it has a list of all its ingredients, right? Every single little thing. And then you start deciding, oh, that sounds like that's gonna taste good. So I'm willing to invest, I'm willing to consume. And Michelle's notion of bringing up this token value shows that actually we're always being dictated the value in some fashion. And what I concluded from her ideas was that actually, I don't think there's any more kind of entrepreneurship in dating anymore. We're still stuck in this consumer relationship. And if you guys can recall how an entrepreneurship works, is that to be an entrepreneur, you need someone to invest in you, invest in your idea, and have faith that their idea, that their product that they're going to sell, that this company that they're going to create is going to be successful. That's very parallel to how relationships should function in some sense. But I think the bad and the good part of this entrepreneur relationship, right, is this idea of idea pitching, where we're just idea pitching each other, and we're trying to figure out which one is the low risk and high. It would be low risk, high return. Low risk, high return. And that is, in my opinion, I don't think that translates with relationships, in my opinion. I think that's the gap between the social economy and the libidinal economy. You're going to find a gap there, and I think that's the gap, because we cannot treat each other like low investment and then high return. That's just not how it functions. What it needs to be is a sort of high investment, and the hopes of high return is not, it should not be like that. I think you need to eradicate the idea of hopes of high return, because you just don't know, and that's the whole point. That's the point of dating and getting married in some degree, is that there is the high risk, and you actually don't know the return. There is no promise of there going to be a high return. And I think as capitalist consumers, we are constantly unconsciously doing this libidinal exchange, like social economic exchanges, right? Where we want the low risk but high return, or we'll do the low risk with low return, right? Sort of the promiscuity I've given examples of this. Promiscuity. I'll sleep with a lot of people and then, nothing's going to come of it. Right? I'm not going to get hurt because I didn't invest. But see, that's not how it works with the libidinal economy, is that you still did invest. You did. And that's why it hurts, because eventually it will hurt. Why? Because the manifestations of the affects will come, right? And I talked about this before already. Anxiety, depression, loneliness, compensations. That is what it is, because it's not really low return. I think I addressed what I wanted to say. Yeah, I think I did. So this is the beginning of the dating revolution. All right, I will end it. I think that's enough. Later, guys.